In the meantime, I want to go to Earl Anthony Wayne, the former U.S. ambassador to Mexico. Ambassador, an honor having you. Thank you for taking the time. The criticism that you're hearing, Ambassador, is that Mexico isn't doing enough to stop this. It just looks the other way as the throngs make their way to the border. That's become a new theme here, but it's picking up steam. Is it justified?
Well, I think it's true that Mexico has limited capacity, and they have certain capacity where they can tighten up their controls. But then often that will fade away because they have not enough personnel really to handle all the migrants that are coming into their country also. They're also very overwhelmed by the large increase in migrants coming from other parts of the Americas, and as we just heard, from other parts of the world. And that has been a big change over the last year and a half. This sort of other category has really grown. Previously, there were largely Mexicans and Central Americans from the three northern countries in Central America, and some from everywhere. But that everywhere else has grown immensely, and Mexico has always had very limited capacities to sustain management of these people coming in.
You know, I don't know how their southern border looks, Ambassador. You're probably much more schooled in this than I'll ever be. And the rap against the Mexicans is they don't really police their border as aggressively as they should. It might be changing now, given the alarming numbers. They're not as stunning as ours. We're in this latest fiscal year, or through October 1, from October 1, better than 1 million, getting into this country. I'm just curious what's happening in the southern part of their country.
Well, their southern border is not very well patrolled or maintained. And this is something that over 10 years ago, we started to work with them on increasing their capacity and their investment there. Very sadly, in the last few years, under this current administration in Mexico, they have actually reduced spending on most of their civil service, which includes those who manage the border, those who take care of refugees. So it's even more of a challenge than it was then, and it was already underfunded at that time. And this is a problem. So what they try to do is intercept people as they're passing through Mexico at different key crossings and on key roads, but they do not consistently do that, and that challenges. And one of the things I'm sure that they've been talking about between the United States and Mexico in this more intense set of conversations they've been having over the last 6 months. They've now been meeting regularly, just had a meeting this last week in Mexico City at very high levels, including the president of Mexico, and at ministerial level, to try to get improved coordination and cooperation from Mexico to slow down this large influx and send more flashing red and flashing yellow signals to all these migrants. Because we have to remember, migrants are getting signals from a lot of different sources, but they're not as sophisticated as we might be in watching television on a regular basis as they're trying to move. So you have to send a set of different signals to people that this is, you should stay where you are. This is too dangerous, too costly, and we're going to slow you down and perhaps send you back home.
You know, how much has it changed, Ambassador, from your days? We used to hear that 6 countries predominantly were the countries involved with those who had migrants crossing into this country: Mexico, obviously Guatemala, Ecuador, El Salvador. But now, of course, it's widened to more than 125 countries and from all over the world. How has that happened?
Well, I think it's happened, if we look at the world as a whole, just step back for a minute, there are more migrants on the move in the world than I think we've ever seen. And that includes migrants going to Europe, migrants in Southeast Asia, migrants in South Asia. And the same thing is happening in the Americas. It happens in part because of the chaos and the terrible economic and criminal situation in Venezuela, for example. Similarly, in Nicaragua, that's a very austere dictatorship that punishes a lot of people. In Haiti, criminal gangs are in control, and also people out of Cuba because of the worsening economic situation there. And then you add that to the few here and there in other places that are living in very bad parts of the country, and you just see increasing numbers flowing northward. And of course, the big magnet where people just would want to go for a better life for their family, a safer life, is the United States.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the compounding of that. And so what's over the longer term, what we need to do is invest in fixing what's pushing people out. But as you know, that takes years to really bring about a big change. So in the nearer term, we need to be sending these red signals, making it less enticing for people to take the chance.
Good luck on that front. Ambassador, thank you very much. We'll be speaking very shortly with a...
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.